Hello everyone. When last we met, I was trying to get this Model 16 with XENIX talking to a PC terminal via telnet using this little device. I call this a TCP/IP to RS-232 converter, and it has a lot of uses, but I couldn't get the Model 16 to like it. It wouldn't actually acknowledge that a terminal was connected, and in fact I couldn't get Tristos to do it either. I took it apart and glanced at it briefly, and certainly not all the pins on that DB9 are connected, so it may very well just be that it is missing some of the hardware handshake lines. My suspicion would be carrier detect, but I haven't really looked yet. But either way, given that, I decided to give up on that and move my efforts over to this. So I just took one of my existing Raspberry Pis and set it up as a proxy between telnet and the serial port. So I have configured TTY01, the first serial port, to be a VT100 terminal, and it is enabled. So right now there should just be me on this. And there it is. So over here we have a shell into the Pi, and you can see that ser2net is running, and down here I have configurations for various ports, TCP ports to listen on, and then where they go, the TDY USB 0, the USB to serial adapter, how fast it goes, all that good stuff. So with that, let's connect to this thing, and I think I closed my Linux terminal, so there we go. I'll do bash on Ubuntu. This is the preview release of this, so anyway. So if I telnet over to my Raspberry Pi, I do get the login screen, and it cleared. Tandy 6000 XENIX, and I am Chris. I have to remember if I have to type a backspace, I have to type Control-H. The backspace key does not send Control-H on this terminal as configured, and I have not created a modified termcap file to deal with a Linux terminal. We'll see if I get around to that or not. But anyway, I am in. Who's on now? That's great. I don't know what's in my Etsy directory. Lots of stuff. What's running? Very good. So let's do a classic computer thing and run BASIC on it. I like running BASIC on these just because I associate them with early 80s microcomputers. It was ubiquitous. I really enjoy that there's a multi-user version for XENIX. XENIX. Okay, I think we're done with that. And you can see the terminal works fairly well, clears the screen, it does stuff like that. And let's give Deskmate a try. Oops, I don't know if I could type. There we go. And as we all remember, this won't be the fastest. And the machine does have 512K of RAM in it, so it's not struggling too much, but it really isn't going to be the fastest. Anyway, so while this is going, we'll come back over here, and we'll just see what's running on the side. And this is great. It's all just bridged together by this Raspberry Pi. And this isn't permanently attached or anything. I just have some strategically placed double-sided tape on there just to kind of hold it down and keep it neat while I'm playing with this. We'll do something a little more permanent if I decide to stick with this. But that's that. So now I got my terminal working. Back over to Deskmate. And it does in fact work. I'm not sure what the control keys are for the arrows, but let's see if we can just type anything. You can see it mostly renders, but it's a little funky. I also have the window at a non-standard size. If I set it to 80 by 24, it might work a little better, but whatever. Ooh. Well, it looks like I can. Hello, you rummy buzzard. I'll just save that, and we'll quit. And actually, I mean, aside from the fact that it doesn't render perfectly, and some of that might come down to my terminal configuration, but either way, it is working. So, and the escape key works, so at least I got that going for me. Oh, that's not going to work. I typed ahead. Oh, it did work. Look at that. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. It is now working. It's actually pretty easy. I was struggling with that adapter and wasting my time, and I figured I would just give it a chance with a Pi. So now that it's working, I'll play with this some more. The neat thing is that means if anybody who knows me well and is interested in kind of an old school Unix experience, I might be able to hook you up with an opportunity to play with the XENIX 3 machine. I'm certainly not going to open it up to the world. I can't imagine any good would come from putting a 35-year-old XENIX machine on the internet. So that won't be happening directly. We'll be very specific. But that's it, and you may have noticed while I was panning by a new member of the collection. This is my Apple II. Specifically a IIe Platinum with 128K of RAM. And you may be thinking, that's not a Tandy computer. And you'd be right. It is the only non-Tandy computer in the collection, and probably will be the only one. The Apple II, well, not specifically the IIe, but the Apple II was the computer that started me wanting a computer. As you can guess, it was in school. I was in school when Apple IIs were ubiquitous, and I really, really wanted one. From about first grade, I was begging my parents. And that's what led to the Color Computer 3 over here. And that got expanded over the years, and then the rest is history. With the Tandy 1000, which the Model 4 was next, and then the Tandy 1000. The 16 I just kind of got and restored last year, so that was kind of my unicorn. I always wanted one of the Model 2 line, and to have this one in such great shape and working really is it's a highlight for me. To be honest, I make a lot of these videos on this because there's such a dearth of coverage on YouTube for the 16 and the 2 line in general that I kind of want to give it a little representation, and I'm a big fan of videos that just show computers going through their everyday motions. So there will be more on this one. That's not to say I don't love my other machines, but they all have much better coverage on the internets than do the Model 2 line. And certainly there will be some videos of the Apple II coming up. This thing does have a super serial card in it, which I actually used to make some of these discs here before I got my floppy EMU. And in fact, while we're looking at the Apple II, let's fire it up, shall we? Like I say, the disk drives work, but I have this floppy emulator going. Life's much easier with floppy emulation. And I loaded up AppleWorks because what better way to bring back that nostalgic third grade feeling than a copy of AppleWorks to type a report on. In fact, let's add a file to the desktop. We're going to do word processor, database, I like that, from scratch, F-A-R-T. Nope, that's not right. R-T. There we go. We're going to call this file fart. And it's going to prompt me for the disk. Please put the word processing program disk in the drive. Okay. I'm just going to call this 4th grade report on El Salvador. Well, not really. I'm not writing a report on El Salvador, but I kind of feel like I should be right now. Anyway, so that is this. There will be more up on this coming, and we occasionally have classic game nights, so I will break this out when it comes to a classic game night. The Color Computer 3 and the Tandy 1000 have all made appearances. Actually, so is the Model 4. I haven't with the 16 because I don't think text-based adventure games are going to really fly. I do have some of the basic games off of the Model 2 archive, but they're not really going to entertain the types of folks that are dealing that. And moving this machine is not something I really look forward to doing. It's working and it's happy, and if I break it in any way, I'm going to be very, very unhappy with myself. So, anywho, we'll just close this out by throwing out this file and quitting AppleWorks. And that's it. So, Model 16 is a XENIX host. Got myself a serial to Ethernet proxy set up, and I have a terminal here, which I should log out of. And the new guy. Until next time.